fandom geek. Just thought a random conversation. I like random conversations sometimes. Thought I'd catch up with you guys. Obviously, not recently made a lot of videos, but then in the last couple of weeks, thought, you know what, let me get back at it and make a few more videos, and sort of, especially going into Christmas, I think it's a nice thing to do. And just see where it goes from there, to be honest. Last episode, we ended up talking about some interesting themes in the Bible. Spoke about Psalm 91. There is a psalm actually I'm going to read. I'm going to read in a second. But also, we ended up talking about loads of stuff. We spoke about reincarnation. We spoke about new atheist movement. We spoke about sort of revival within Christianity. I did a video the other day about Star Wars, talking about nostalgia, talking about missing the good old days of Star Wars, even though those good old days in Star Wars still had some fandom issues. We can't completely say that, the sequel trilogy completely started the fandom war completely. There were fandom arguments before that, but how the kind of subverting expectations sort of idea hugely backfired, and how Star Wars as a franchise hasn't recovered really ever since that. And just kind of musing over the idea of how do you even tank Star Wars, like, and what would you do to save Star Wars? I spoke about that, which I think is an interesting idea of how do you redeem a franchise that essentially turned against its own fan base and essentially is lacking that connection with the fans. That a lot of Star Wars fans are giving up on Star Wars. So how do you win them back? And I was asking that question, and it is an interesting idea. How do you pivot? And my idea would be, I think, reboot. I'd reboot Star Wars. I'd reboot. I don't know where. I don't know if I'd reboot it from the sequel trilogy or at what point, but I'd reboot it, and I'd I may bring in the idea of a multiverse, maybe, or at least one other universe. If you do that using the world between worlds, you could then potentially link Star Wars characters that could be alive in the one universe that are not alive in the other. So it's just that idea. I like that's the best thing about a multiverse idea when it comes to films, especially comic book films, and especially when it comes to things like Star Wars, or any kind of Marvel, DCU, is that in a multiverse you can have characters be killed in one universe but be alive in the other, and you can have a sort of virtual history where through contingent facts and scenarios, certain characters are going to be alive in one universe or be different. So they did that with the DCU with Flashpoint, where in a Flashpoint comic book, and they did it with the Flash TV show as well. They didn't do it so well in the movie, where you could have Superman as a villain, you could have Batman as a villain, you could have loads of people that are heroes in the one universe that will be complete villains in another one just through contingent events. Hello there. What's up? How you doing? Thank you for the hello there. I often on X. On X, I'm Christian Fandom Geek. So if you ever want to follow me on X, just put in Christian Fandom Geek and you'll follow me. Whenever I reach out to another channel or another user, I'll say, like, I will go with the Obi-Wan Kenobi. I will go with the hello there. I just think the hello there Obi-Wan Kenobi greeting is quintessentially British and an absolute classic hallmark of the original trilogy Star Wars. And I think even in the prequels, it was used pretty well as well. The good old Ewan McGregor's hello there. I'm all right, thank you very much. How are you doing? What's up? How you doing? Hope you're keeping well on this Monday, 1st of December. Everyone always says I sound like him. So is everyone saying that you sound like Ewan McGregor? Or are they saying that you sound like Obi-Wan Kenobi? Because I suppose you could conflate them to be the same. If you want to, you could conflate them and say that they are the same. You could do that. Um, but yeah, I think I do like Obi. I do. It's a good question actually. Who would be favorite Obi-Wan Kenobi? I do, obviously, you had Sir Alec Guinness, a classic Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I tell you what, Ewan McGregor did a really good job. I think he was brilliant in the prequels. Um, I think he did a very good job as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I liked his Obi-Wan Kenobi as he got older as well. So I think in episode one, I think his Obi-Wan Kenobi was okay. He was okay. But I think when George added him and made him an older Obi-Wan Kenobi, obviously in episode 2 and 3, so obviously Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, I felt like that Ewan McGregor suited the older iteration of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I felt by Revenge of the Sith, I think he nailed it completely. I think he was an absolutely brilliant Obi-Wan Kenobi in Revenge of the Sith, and I think I think that, and obviously you've got the Clone Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think is it Matt Lanter? I forget if I'm getting it correct. Who is the voice actor for Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Clone Wars. Obviously, the Clone Wars is amazing. By the way, I will say this. One of the ways in which you could save Star Wars would be if we did a live action Obi-Wan Kenobi, a live action Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think, and a live action Clone Wars, I think would be absolutely amazing. Hi Naz, how you doing, mate? Blood shook you, mate. Oh, God bless you, mate. Mate, Naz, God bless you. You know what? I don't mind if people want to trash talk a little bit, because it doesn't really bother me, mate. To be honest, I always say to people, if you want to listen to me talking, having a laugh on YouTube, just give me my thoughts, then fair enough. But if you don't want to be here, mate, don't let the door hit you on the way out, and that's it. It's all good in the hood. But mate, I'm all good. Naz, how are you doing, mate? How are you doing, mate? Hope you're doing well. I'm a Brummie, but I'm a Brummie Aston Villa fan. But I don't mind a bit of trash talk, as long as you don't go too far in it. You know what I mean? There's a bit of trash talk's all right. A bit of trash talk. I can do different accents, Naz, as well. But yeah, man goes Brummie. Yeah, my Brummie, mate. Brummie, mate. Brummie from Birmingham. From Birmingham, mate. Brummie. So someone from Leicester's like, how can you not tell where he's from? Well, it's just me having a laugh. I'm talking about Star Wars. I'm talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm talking about how you would save Star Wars at the moment. Yeah, so the live action Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, I would love to have loved it. Just because I love Obi-Wan Kenobi so much, I would love to have loved it. I would love to have loved it. I really would have. It was okay, but it was meh. It was very, very middle of the road. I think if they press into a live, yes, I do. Jamie Powell, God bless you. You're absolutely right, mate. The Vader scenes were cool. That was the best thing about it, was the Vader scenes. The Vader scenes were very, 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 very good. I would say this. If you do a live action Clone Wars, I think you do it properly. Don't make it woke. Don't make it weird. Just focus on the storyline. Focus on Star Wars. Focus on Star Wars tropes. Don't make it weird at all. If you do that, I think you'll win people back over. I do. I think Star Wars would win a lot of the fans back. Live action Clone Wars. Keep it quite similar to Clone Wars as well. Don't deviate too far from it. The formula works. Give us our favourite characters back, and I think you'll win a lot of Star Wars fans back. A lot of Star Wars fans are disillusioned at the moment with Star Wars because of Mandalorian season 3 was rubbish. A lot of the other stuff that's come out is rubbish. Obviously, the Acolyte was a hot mess. I don't even know if you could call it a hot mess. It was just a complete shambolic, ad hoc, completely poorly written show. Woke in the worst possible way, and I don't slag off everything that's woke. I don't slag off everything that's woke, but the Acolyte was woke in the worst way possible. It was just shambolic. It was shocking. The character arcs were underdeveloped. The action sequences were all over the place. The storyline was weak. Characterization was weak. Just didn't make any sense. It was just, gosh, it was just like, what? What were they doing? It was just you know. At the end of the day, I don't like woke themes in Star Wars. I don't think it works in Star Wars because Star Wars is already a universal franchise. It's already universal. It already has diversity, so it doesn't need to be woke. You don't need to diversify Star Wars. It's already a very diverse universe. It always was. So I don't think woke themes work very well in Star Wars anyway. Star Wars is like a hero's journey. So at the end of the day, you didn't need those themes in it at all. Just didn't need it. Right, guys, give me 1 second. I'm coming back. I want to talk about woke. 1 second. And I'm back. Right. Yeah. Okay. So woke culture. Woke culture. Woke culture is a bit of a weird one for me. Woke culture. I'm not into woke culture, to be honest, per se. I'm not into woke culture, but I do believe in diversity. So I do believe there's a difference between woke culture and diversity. All right. I believe there's a difference between woke culture and diversity. I do. I believe there's a difference. I think woke culture I think when people are overtly woke and they go into sort of the ideology of wokeness and they go into identity politics, I think they go too far, and I think it becomes they look for problems that are not there. They go too far. They magnify everything, and they seem to. If you look at people that are very, very intensely woke, on an emotional level, they sometimes come across that like they lack emotional resilience, and they get bent out of shape about semantics, and they go too far, looking for problems everywhere. And sometimes they find things that could be, politically incorrect or could be sort of inappropriate behavior. And sometimes they're right to call certain things out, and then sometimes it just goes too far, and it's a lack of resilience. It's almost like you think, gosh, is this generation a snowflake generation? They have no resilience at all. Come on. But on the other side, if you look at this conservative ideology and the woke right, what you get now, they're the same. So you get the woke left, and now you have the woke right, and both sides that are very woke are very much like they believe that their views are right. They're very intolerant to anyone else's views. They don't like to talk about things and debate things and reason it out and go back and forth, and let's be reasonable. Let's see what we can come up with. They tend to be very intolerant. Both the woke left and the woke right tend to be very intolerant. I don't know why that is so much, but I guess it's built in with the ideology that a lot of virtue signaling and gaslighting of people who don't agree with their views. But I can tell you this: what you're seeing at the moment is you're seeing a woke left that's still there. There's still a woke left. There's still a woke ideology around. He hasn't gone. They've just kind of settled down a bit, to be honest, because they're not running the White House in the USA. As soon as a president gets back in that's a Democrat, woke ideology will come back in a major way. It's only because Trump is shutting it down at the moment. As soon as Trump's gone, if the Republicans are still not in power after Trump, the woke ideology will just come back because the Democrats will bring it back. You're just going to have this back and forth. Whoever's in charge of the White House will either shut it down or bring it back. So I would just say this: like, whether you're woke or not, don't be led by a president. Have your own thoughts, have your own mindset, be guided by your own values. It shouldn't need a political leader to tell you what you should think. You should be able to think for yourself. You should be able to have your own locus of evaluation, your own core values. And for me, as a Christian, as a believer in God, those come from the Bible. They come from my relationship with God. They come from my thoughts as a Christian, and they come from my values of just being humanistic and actually having unconditional positive regard for humanity as a whole. That's what that comes from. trying to be a decent human being. Okay. But the woke culture, woke ideology, it's not going to completely go away, guys. But by the way, the people that criticize woke ideology are people on the right that are very conservative, that are often in America Republicans and whatever. But if you look at them on social media, a lot of them are racist. Not all of them, but a lot of them are racist. They come out with a lot of racist stuff. So they'll criticize people for being woke, but then some of the stuff that they come out with is very racist against different racial groups, black people, Jewish people, against Islam and different things like that. They can be really strongly racist and proud of it, and they have no shame at all. And they come out and they have people like Nick Fuentes who is representing the woke right or whatever, who is the groypers, king of the groypers. I mean, gosh, king of the groypers, really? This guy's a clown. This guy came out with the other day, telling people that are Christians don't read your Bible. The guy's an idiot. How can you be telling people not to read the Bible or read their holy book, their scriptures, what they believe in? Who does that? The king of the groypers. What? The guy's an absolute idiot. He's a tool. I mean, if you're a Bible believing Christian or you believe in God, pray for him to get saved. But the guy's a tool. And anyway, and if that is the quality that people on the right are coming up with, Nick Fuentes, if that's what they're coming up with as their leader, then they're in big trouble because he's an absolute tool. And I think he's a puppet anyways. He's an elitist puppet. At the end of the day, they're using him as a puppet man. And they're using him to try as an actor to try and draw people back in, draw people into being racist. And the guys, it's like, yeah, guys, I'm going to say this right. Yeah, I hate all forms of racism. I hate all forms of prejudice at all. I hate it completely. But if you're going to be a racist, don't follow Nick Fuentes because he's the worst kind of racist. He's the type of racist that's a bloody idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Espouses complete BS. He's an absolute tool. Absolute tool. The guy has not. Rarely does he come out with a decent argument. And I'm going to be honest with you, Kyle. I'll talk this to you as well, mate. I don't really care what you believe in, to be honest. I don't care if you're an atheist. I don't care if you're an agnostic. I don't care if you're a Muslim. I don't care what you are. But if you're gonna come on media, if you're gonna be on YouTube, if you're gonna be on social media, on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, on Facebook, and if you're gonna give arguments that are controversial in nature, at least have a bloody good argument. And if you haven't got a good argument, then shut up and jog on. Don't come to people like me who actually read books, who actually watch documentaries, who listen to podcasts, who actually educate themselves, right? And with foolish, stupid arguments that can a primary school kid could completely undo these arguments, deconstruct these arguments. They're pathetic arguments, weak ass arguments. Don't come to someone like me with a weak ass argument, because I won't tolerate it. I'll just literally tear your arguments to pieces. So don't come to someone like me with a weak ass argument. And Nick Fuentes is the type of guy that basically, just because people are so desperate on the right to have somebody say the N-word and go, oh, he's saying the N-word, so therefore I'll follow him, follow that clown. The guy's a bloody idiot. Absolute tool. Rarely, I don't know if rarely have I seen him come out with a cogent argument. He just doesn't have any good arguments. His arguments, any educated person could undo his arguments. Even an intelligent primary school kid could do it. Certainly secondary school children could undo his arguments. These arguments are just... They're just stupid arguments. And people buy into it because they want somebody to go and say the N-word. So they're like, oh, we'll follow him because he says the N-word, or he slags off the Jewish people, slags off Jews. So, he's great, he's bold enough to do that. So I'll follow him. It's like, oh, well done, like an absolute like bloody seals, like seals, like just stupidity, man. Absolute Neanderthals. I'm a pretty patient guy, but I can't deal with bloody Neanderthals with stupid arguments. Jog on, mate. Absolutely jog on. Ain't got time for that. Who's got time for stupidity, man? I ain't tolerating it. Stupid arguments, man. Okay, you think that is a misrepresentation of the right? I would say with confidence, most don't agree. Do you know what? Okay, mate, fair enough. Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe a lot of the right don't agree with him. Maybe I'm being a little bit generalizing the right a little bit. Maybe okay, I can accept that. But I think there is a group, there is a fair group on the right. The thing is, what you say is maybe because social media sometimes it's distorted in that sense. Maybe in social media it's distorted. That maybe um, it's always the louder voices that kind of that come to the fore. So you sometimes that can kind of think that maybe okay, it can give a misrepresentation of how many people kind of support someone like a Nick Fuentes. And social media will do that. Twitter does that. Um, and obviously, a lot of the people who interact with Nick Fuentes and people like that, they are kind of the algorithm on Twitter will just feed into that notion. So they'll just be all that community will just feed into itself because of the algorithm. So they'll just find more people like themselves, and it's just that there's no arbiter coming from the outside to be the voice of reason. They're just egging each other on, and they're all like-minded, and they're just in it, like you said, yeah, there you go, the echo chamber. They're just like-minded, so they're just going to go round and round in circles, feeding on the same narratives, and no one's there as the voice of reason saying, guys, actually, is this actually reasonable? Is it reasonable to think like this? Is it reasonable to go this far? Right, Kyle, you need to go and see who. Go and have a look. Go and Google Nick Fuentes, or go on YouTube later and look who Nick Fuentes is. You'll understand. Once you see what he says, then you'll be like, oh, I get. I'll get what you mean. Okay. He hasn't got a point, mate. He hasn't. He exposes complete bull. He hasn't got. He doesn't have any good arguments, mate. What he does is he plays on people's fears. He plays on people's fears. So he plays on people's fears like, oh, the great white replacement. White people are being replaced by all these immigrants and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And white people are being depowered, and all these brown people are going to take over the world, and oh no, all these lower and all these stupid arguments that are completely baseless, not grounded in science, not grounded in reason at all. At the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I've heard people saying on the internet and on Twitter, on X, that white people are being replaced, that white people are losing all their power, that white people are being completely screwed over. Mate, I'm gonna tell you something for free. Black people are not invading countries with warships or aeroplanes. You're not seeing black people come over with warships, coming over, taking over the Western countries. You're not seeing aeroplanes and warships and submarines coming from Africa or coming from Caribbean or any place where black people are to take over the West. It's not happening, mate. The people that are making decisions in the West, in the USA, in England, in Canada, in North America, in Europe, France, Germany, the people that are making these decisions are white people. So if you've seen floods if you don't like the immigration policies, if you don't like what's happening, black people are not making those decisions, mate. White people are making those choices, okay? White leaders are making those choices, not black people, okay? Yeah, Nick Fuentes. That's what I said. Nick Fuentes. Yeah, white people are making those choices. White people run Europe. White people run the USA. White people run England. It's not black people. Black people are not making these choices, mate. You may say, okay, it's people that are woke or have woke ideology, or it gets put down to Jewish people, and they say, oh, Jewish people are running the world, or they're running England, or they're running USA. Black people and brown people are not making these choices, mate. No black people are invading England with warships, or in USA with warships, saying we want to bring democracy here. So let us come over to England, take all the resources out of England, and give you democracy. That's not happening. That's what happened in Africa when for the colonial era and even the British Empire. Go over to Africa. We'll bring you the Bible, mate, and we'll take your gold and your diamonds and everything else, and we'll give you some scripture, but we'll take all the resources from you and the diamonds. Give us the diamonds, give us the gold, and we'll give you the Bible. That's what's happened, which is horrible because they abused Christianity. I'm a Christian. I'm a Bible believing Christian, and they abused Christianity in Africa. They abused it. They used it as a weapon against the people, and took the resources from Africa. So You ain't getting black people doing that, mate, in England and in the USA. So at the end of the day, Nick Fuentes, our Mexican friend who literally has no good arguments and is just brainwashing a lot of people just by saying, "Oh, I'll call out the N words and I'll call out the Jewish people," and people are like, and all the Neanderthals are like going, "Oh yeah, we'll support him." It's like, no, think for yourselves. Think for yourselves, guys. Black people and brown people are not invading countries with warships and stealth bombers and submarines. They're not. Every choice you don't like is a white leader who's making that choice, not black people, not brown people. Okay, so somebody's got ideologies going running, but it's not us that are making these choices. Okay, I believe immigration. Immigration's fine, but I do believe it has to be controlled. I don't believe you should have complete open borders and everyone turns up left, right, and centre all over the place. You've got to have some measure of control of your country, right? You've got to have some measure of control. I'm totally for immigration if it's controlled. It has to be a controlled process. If it's a controlled process and you're getting the right people coming to enrich the country that you're in, then absolutely fine. Get the right people in. Get the right people in. You want the right people in. You want people that are going to agree with the values of your country. We're in the UK here, British values. Do you want people that are going to ascribe to British values? And that's absolutely fine. So immigration is fine if it's controlled. If it's controlled with people that are ascribing to your values, they're going to learn the language and they're not hostile to British values, then it's absolutely fine. We all need to help each other out in this world. And we should have compassion to other people who might need a bit of help. We should have that compassion. Ultimately, what we want to do is this. Ultimately, long term, is you want a system that people don't have to flee from their countries. We help them in their country. So we say, okay, let's come over to your country and let's help you. We can help you. Let's see if we can help you. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. How can we help you in your country? How can we help you? How can we see so that let's try and get peace in your country. Let's try and help your country to build the infrastructure so that you don't need to flee your country. You can live there in peace and harmony and be happy. And that's absolutely fine as well. Let's all help each other out. We should by now, guys, we should have a world that people should be able to live comfortably in their own countries. And if they need help, other countries can support them. Yeah, why not? Why not help other countries? We should do that. And it means that then if we help other countries, not everybody has to flee to another country to try and live a decent life. And for those who do need help and do need to leave the country, then we have controlled immigration. Great. Controlled immigration is brilliant. But it has to be they need to come to our values. That's what I'd say. Yes, that's right, mate. I totally agree. There are people in this country that are struggling. They're absolutely right. So there's always that's that statement. Charity starts at home. You got to help the people around you, and that's absolutely fine. And it doesn't make sense to have open borders and a million people come in, but people that are born here are struggling. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It's like, well, you got to help the people that are here as well, and a lot of people argue and say, well, why don't you help the people that are here first and then help people that are abroad? That's a fair argument. It's a fair argument. Some people will disagree with that and say, well, no. Some predicaments that people are in are so bad you just have to intervene immediately. And in some cases that is the case. But I think you got to have a sort of balance on it. I think you got to have a balance. Certainly you got to help people that are born in England or that are here. You got to help them. Of course you got to help them. And then you got to have an immigration system that people can come over and let's have a look here. Who we got here? So the Vikings, the Moors, the Romans all came to the shores of England to the values. That's an interesting one. So Western, I'd say obviously when you're talking about the Vikings, the Moors, and the Romans, okay, they were invaders, dude, and they brought their own values because we were dealing in the era of empire. So we were dealing with the era of empire then, weren't we? So we're talking empire. The Vikings had sort of had their own empire in a way. The Moors certainly did have their own empire. The Romans certainly had their own empire. Okay, and obviously we had the British Empire that went abroad and then instantiated British ideology and language on other countries. So in the era of empire, then obviously people didn't care about this. They didn't care about things like respecting the values of the people that were there or respecting the culture that they were going into. They didn't care about it. They thought everyone else is inferior. We're the best. We're the apex. We're the top of the hierarchy. So we're bringing what we bring, and we don't care about you. We don't care. You're the natives. We're civilized. You're not. So we're imposing our values on you, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's basically what you got from the Vikings, what you got from the Moors and the Romans. We're technologically superior to you. We're intellectually superior to you. You're the natives. You're primitive. So we're not going to respect your values. We're going to impose our values because that's empire. That's empire. Obviously now we like to think of ourselves as more socially evolved than we were back then as human beings. So we don't. So we where it gets tricky is this. We still do it, but we don't like to say we do it. So there's times where America have done that in Iraq. UK did it in Iraq. Oh, we're looking for weapons of mass destruction, WMDs. But actually, no, we just want to take over. We just want to take over Iraq. You know what I mean? So we don't say we do it anymore because it doesn't sound right. It's not politically correct anymore. To empire is not politically correct now. But we kind of still do it to a degree, but we don't openly do it anymore because it's not politically correct to do that. But obviously, when you look at certainly the Moors and the Romans were very advanced cultures. So yes, they were arrogant sons of a guns. They were arrogant, and they didn't really respect the cultures they took over, but they were technologically superior to most of the cultures they interacted with. But it's still very wildly disrespectful, the things that they would do to the culture that they came into. Yeah, very disrespectful. But empires tended to do that. They tended to be that way. The Moors were very, very intellectually advanced. The Moors were very high culture. Like the Romans, they were both very high cultures and the Moors brought a lot of civilization to Europe, funnily enough, actually. When Europe was quite backwards in their thinking, the Moors actually brought a lot of, and then they were Africans, North Africans, Arabs and black Africans, and so some of them were like what we think of as sub-Saharan Africans as well. And they were at that time more sophisticated than Europe, which a lot of people find it a bit awkward and inconvenient to say, because you had all these black and brown people that were more intellectually superior at that time, and intellectually and more technologically advanced than white Europeans at that time. But it's just history. Don't get mad about it. It's just history. But these days, we think of ourselves as more socially evolved, that we should, if people are coming over, they should adhere to the values of the people that are in that land, because we live in a different time and era now. Does that make sense, Westland? I hope that makes sense. Man, we've got into a really interesting conversation about borders and history and different empires. Guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, I love these kind of conversations because I didn't know the conversation would go this direction. So yeah, it's brilliant. Good questions as well. Very good questions. Giving aid and help or whatnot has been a very controversial track record. I would recommend doing research on aid given to Africa over the last 6 years. Okay, yeah. Okay. So you've made a very good point there. I already know what you're talking about. You made a very good point. So when I say help a country, I'm not just talking about giving aid. I'm talking about building the infrastructure of the country. So let me think of it. Let me talk to you about it in a different way. Not thinking so much about what the UK do or what USA do, but more about what China do. So when China go into a country, and they've done it in Africa, in various African countries, they've done it in the Caribbean. China have done it have done it in a lot of countries. China won't just give a country money. They won't do that. China will go to Kenya, or they'll go to Ghana, or they'll go to Zimbabwe, or they'll go to Malawi, or they'll go to Ethiopia, or any of these sort of Tanzania, all these African countries, and they'll say, right, what's the need of your country, Mr. President? Okay, we need better roads. We need we've got issues with traffic congestion. So they're like, right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna build a new motorway lanes, or we're gonna build new train tracks, new train system. We're gonna upgrade your train network. We're gonna upgrade. You got issues with power, especially electricity. Okay, we're gonna build a hydro power plant here. So China will go into African countries and they'll build roads, they'll build trains, they'll build train tracks, they'll build train stations, they'll build hydroelectric power plants to get electricity from the water, from the dam, from the river. So they'll build the infrastructure of the country up so that when they leave the country, that country is going to function better now, far better. We're not just giving you a bit of food or a bit of rice and grain and tins, and we're going to build the infrastructure of your country up, and in doing that, your country will have what we've done will be a lasting legacy in your country, because that's what countries need. They need the infrastructure building up, and obviously, if you go to Africa, different countries in Africa, there's a lot of problems in Africa. There's also a lot of great things about Africa as well, by the way. A lot of the stuff you see in media is all the bad stuff, but there's a lot of great things in Africa as well. But the issue with Africa sometimes is the infrastructure, and that there's too big a gap between the wealthy and the poor, and the lack of middle class. So in African countries, what you need is a bigger middle class. You need a middle class that have some money. So you need wealthy people, but you also need a middle class. And you need and from the point of view of Africans themselves, the corruption needs to stop. The corruption is also a problem in Africa. I've got African friends. I've got friends from Zimbabwe. I've got friends from different African countries, and the corruption in Africa is a problem. It's a problem. We can't hide from it. It's a problem. There is corruption that needs to be dealt with. There's corruption there. But you have to pay people off. You have to pay this one off. You have to pay that one off. It's like no. The corruption needs to stop. They need to stop that. Money goes in. The president keeps it for his family. So the president ends up living like a king in a palace, but everyone else is struggling. It's like no. But you're right, Western. Yeah, corruption happens everywhere. You're absolutely right. Corruption's everywhere. It's not just in Africa. Corruption's everywhere. Corruption is everywhere. But yes, I would say you're right. It's easier in Africa, because I think in Africa it becomes systemic as part of the culture, part of the zeitgeist of certain African countries. Again, not every African country has that. Botswana is a beacon of hope in Africa, where Botswana is one of the countries in Africa that has no corruption at all. The corruption levels, if I'm correct about Botswana, I don't think they have any corruption, or if it is, it's very, very minimal, to a level that it'd be like in England or other countries. It wouldn't be like on African levels of corruption. So Botswana is the beacon of light in Africa, of a country that is well run, self-sufficient, and has very low levels of corruption. Botswana is an amazing country in Africa. It really is. And so when you get people like a Nick Fuentes saying, "Oh, every African country is like struggling and they're not doing well," Botswana, look at Botswana. Botswana has free university education for their people. Their people can go to uni for free. They're not charged to go to university. The country, the government pays for their university. Just let that sink in. Botswana is doing so well, the government pays for people to go to uni. Let that sink in. And it has very low levels of corruption, if any. Botswana is doing very, 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 very well, and is a beacon of light. It shows you what you can do in Africa with the right leadership. That you can have a country like Botswana that's doing very, very well for themselves. Botswana their economy is also very good. They're doing very well. And there's countries in Africa that have some wealth. Kenya's got some wealth. Nigeria has wealth. Ghana, has some wealth. There's country. Ethiopia's doing well. Rwanda is doing well these days. Uganda is starting to do really well. There are countries in Africa that are starting to do really well. North Africa is doing well. There are countries in Africa that are doing well. Even in sub-Saharan Africa, there's countries doing well. South Africa has a lot of beautiful cities that have great potential, and so certainly there is that potential there. There is great potential there. They just need to stamp out the corruption. Stamp out the corruption, and then work on the infrastructure, and they'll start to do well. One of the things about Africa that is really good is they have a very young workforce. There's a lot of young Africans, and what they need to do is they need to build up their manufacturing in those countries. What they need to do, because they've got the raw materials in African countries already, they need to do the manufacturing themselves. Because what they do is they send things away to other countries to do the manufacturing, and then they buy things back from those countries. So it doesn't make any sense. If you've got the resources, you need to manufacture it yourself, then sell it to countries abroad. You can't just be like, okay, we've got the resources, but we're going to send it abroad to be manufactured, and then we're going to buy it back from you. It's like, huh? That doesn't make any sense. Manufacture it yourself, and then you take it aside for your own people, and then send the rest abroad, and let other countries buy your goods. So Africa needs to manufacture their own goods. They need to manufacture it themselves because they've got the workforce. They've got young workers. So manufacture it yourself and then send it abroad. And your country will get wealth because people will buy stuff from you. You'll keep the wealth in your country more. That's how you do it. They need to manufacture things themselves and let other countries buy stuff from them. And then Africans need to buy from Africans, because Africans are buying from Europe, they're buying from the USA, they're buying from other countries. They need to buy from themselves. They need to buy. So inter-African trade needs to be better. And when they do that, they'll have wealth, genuine wealth. Yes, Asia and Africa will be top in the next 30 years due to their workforce, but location needs to be. Yeah, totally agree, Weston. Absolutely right. In the next 30 years, I agree. Asia and Africa will rise up because they've got a young workforce. You can't get around it, guys. You need to have a young workforce. If you've got young workers, then you can do anything. All they need is a little bit of infrastructure, and then that's it. You're cooking because you've got the workers there. Just get them working. Build factories, build the infrastructure, and then you just keep going. Botswana's doing it. Kenya's starting to do it. They got the technology park in Kenya, which is they're basically building their own Silicon Valley in Kenya. Africa's building up in IT and technology. That's where they're going for IT and technology. So if you look at what Africa's doing, African countries, they're building up in IT and technology. So you're going to get a lot of tech wizards coming from Africa in the next 30 years. It's happening now, by the way. And if they have a centralized African currency, I know there's things like BRICS are talking about it as well. If they have a centralized African economy currency, that will be good for them as well. And they need to do more trading amongst themselves rather than buying all the stuff from Europe or USA. They need to trade amongst themselves more. They need to keep more money in Africa. Keep the money between themselves a bit more. I'm not saying they shouldn't buy things from Europe or USA or Asia. I'm not saying that, but they need to keep some more money in their within amongst themselves. So if they build up their own manufacturing more, then they can sell abroad and they can buy and sell between different African countries more. They'll keep more money within the African Union, shall we say, and they can still trade abroad as well. But they'll just have a firmer. Their sort of axiom needs to be. Yeah, it's really funny. Do you know, like Donald Trump saying America first? Africa almost needs to have that mentality of Africa first. They need to they need to almost get Donald Trump to come over to Africa and teach them. Say, listen, follow the philosophy of Trump, Africa first. They need to be a bit more selfish like that and say, listen, we're building up Africa. We need to build it up. Because actually, you think about it, if you have an Africa that's strong and all these African countries are doing well, it benefits the rest of the world because you're not going to have loads of Africans leaving Africa. They're going to be happy in their own countries. So it's going to benefit the whole world where you'll have strong African economies, Africans proud of their own country and happy and safe and wealthy in their own countries. Brilliant. And then they can trade with Europe and the USA and Asia more. And if they want to leave South Africa or Zimbabwe or Kenya, that's absolutely fine. But they're not leaving for bad reasons. They're not leaving because they need to leave. They're leaving because for maybe different opportunities, but they're not leaving out of necessity. And that's where we need to get to. We need to get to a point where we're not people are not leaving out of necessity. They leave for good reasons, not for bad reasons. They leave because for maybe a specialized job or something like that, or because they want to, maybe they're wealthy and they want to try life abroad. But it's not because of economic conditions are not conducive for them to live a good standard of living, shall we say. If you know anything about finance, you would know. Oh, about gold. Okay, we're arguing about gold. Gold, I would always say gold is important, guys. Gold, things like gold, tangible things, gold, silver, diamonds, cobalt for batteries. They're tangible things. You think about the world now. Hey, Maverick, you right, dude? You think about the world now, it's about tangible things. Obviously, I know we're going towards digital economies now. So you're going towards, obviously, Bitcoin is big now, and digital economies are big. But there's always a place for tangible materials: gold, diamonds, silver, cobalt, minerals that can build cars, if I can say it properly, minerals that can build electric batteries and things like that. It is very, very, very important stuff. It's very important stuff. Gold will never go out completely because you've got it. It's a tangible thing. It's real. Diamonds are the same. It's real. Rubies, precious materials. They're real tangible things. So those things will never completely ever be out of fashion. You'll always be able to and people want gold. It's a metal that doesn't corrupt. Gold's amazing. You know what I mean? People always want gold. People for one reason or another, people will always want gold. They'll always want gold. People will always want silver. They'll always want diamonds and rubies. They'll always want these things. Cobalt is very important for batteries, for electric cars and electric vehicles. And Africa has a lot of cobalt. So those tangible things are very important. To build your economy, you do need these things. But what you need is like the guy in the president. What's his name? Traore, isn't it? Is that where's Traore the president of? Is it Ivory Coast? I can't remember if it's Ivory Coast. Traore. He's kicked out the French. He's kicked out. Get them out. No. So he's kicked out France, and he's saying no. We're gonna manage our own resources now. So. Yeah, cobalt over gold. Yeah, Western, you might be right. Cobalt's very important. You think of all the things that are coming out now that are using electric, including the cars, trains, the quadcopter, all the quadcopters now that are picking delivery services and things like that. You're going to have in China they have quadcopter cars, like the cars that are flying in the air, powered by batteries. Quadcopter taxis, all this technology is using electric power. So cobalt is very, very important, and Africa has a ton of it. So Africa has a ton of all these things. So the Africans need to press into that. They really do. All governments, banks, reserve vaults with gold. Yeah, gold's important. I'm not arguing about gold. I'm not arguing about gold. I think gold's important. I do think it's important. But cobalt from a use point of view is probably one of the biggest things right now. From a use point of view. Maverick, you're the funniest. You're one of the funniest guys I've seen on that comments on my videos. You're talking about Rush Hour 4. Completely off topic, but very funny. Maverick, always be yourself, mate. You're absolutely funny. I'm all right. You're saying, I see what gold will run its course. Gold. I don't think gold will run its course. I think it'll always go up and down a little bit. I don't think it will completely run its course, but I do think cobalt is probably very important right now because of all the electric cars, electric trains, electric quadcopters, all the electric things that are being made right now to save the environment. I think cobalt is very important. And China have done a lot of work in Africa, in African countries, primarily because they want the cobalt. So they're like, we'll build your roads for you, and we'll build your this, and we'll build you that, and you give us cobalt. You give us priority to mine the cobalt, and we'll build your roads for you. We'll build your trains for you. We'll do your train line. We'll do it all for you. We'll do it for you. We'll give you a new parliament building in Zimbabwe. There you go, new parliament building. But you give us the cobalt. You give us a 50-year deal on cobalt, or 20-year deal on cobalt, or 100-year deal on cobalt. You give us priority. So you don't go to the Americans, you come to us for the cobalt, and we have the number one contract with you for cobalt. So the USA, no, you come to China. We'll build your roads for you, and we'll build your schools for you, and we'll build your universities for you, and we'll build your parliament buildings, and we'll do your train tracks for you, and we'll do your hydroelectric power plants. We'll do all that for you, but you deal with us when it comes to that. You give us whatever deal. The deal is we're number one priority on the cobalt. There you go. Yeah, it's a good idea. We need go into space. Yeah, go into space. Go into space and mine gold. Yeah, it's going to be there, isn't it? All those elements are cooked in stars. So yeah, a lot of it's in space. Yeah, you find it in space. Interesting one. Absolutely, guys. It's been a very interesting conversation. I will say that. A lot of fun. Just want to say, guys, if you're new to the channel, Christian Fandom Geek, I am making more of an effort with the lives now, to be honest. So do me a favor and make sure you subscribe to the channel, because there are lots of videos on there already. So make sure you smash the like button, and also make sure you sub the channel as well. Because I want to get to 1,000 subs soon. So don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. Indeed. Track record, mining gold isn't even close to feasible at the moment. But very little clean drinking water. Maverick, you're talking about Africa, aren't you? Africa has a lot of water. It's quite funny, Maverick. There is water in Africa. It's just they just have to get to it, basically. Like I think Kenya, like for example, the east coast of Africa has I think they have 2 rainy seasons, dude. Like they have a lot of water in east coast of Africa has a lot of water. They have 2 rainy. Kenya has 2 rainy seasons, not 1 but 2. And then say places like Zimbabwe have is it Lake Victoria, one of the biggest lakes in the world. Like there's big lakes in Africa as well that have a lot of water, and obviously you can clean that water. You know, anywhere where you've got a river, you can clean it. You can clean the water. You can you can build a water station and you can filter the water and clean it. So and if you've got big rivers, if you've got the Nile, you've got Victoria, you've got places like that, you can clean that water. You can clean it. And if you've got places like Kenya and east coast of Africa that has 2 rainy seasons, you collect that water and clean it, and there you go. You've got your water. You just need the infrastructure. That's all. We use cleaning water, drinking water to keep our servers cool. Yeah, it's all AI now, isn't it? So if you've got an AI supercomputer, you've got to try and keep it cool, because computers, if you use them too much power, they overheat, don't they? So you do need to think of ways to cool your CPU processor. So these things are important. Guys, it's coming to an hour now. I'm gonna start to wrap this live up. But I tell you what, it's been a really good live. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Absolute, yeah, gentlemen, absolute. You've been absolutely phenomenal. I will say this, guys, as well. Really good questions. You've had some really, really good questions. Very thought-provoking questions, actually. So I'm very impressed. Do me a favor, like I said, sub the channel, and hit notifications so that when I do a next live, you'll know. I'm gonna plan. My next live will be on Wednesday. So my next live will be Wednesday, but I will do some shorts in between then. But my next live will be Wednesday, probably a similar time on Wednesday. Okay, so on Wednesday, similar time, I will be doing another live. Sorry, not Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday, similar time, I'll be doing another live. Not Wednesday, sorry, Thursday. So Thursday, I'll be doing another live, similar time. And I'll do one on Friday as well. So Thursday and Friday, I will do, again, some lives with you guys. So thanks for being with me. And there was some excellent questions. And Thursday, yeah. Yes, on X, I am Christian Fandom Geek. So on X, I'm Christian Fandom Geek. So catch me on X as well. Sub the channel. Hit notifications on YouTube, and on X, look for Christian Fandom Geek. And let's talk, let's chat, let's have some fun. And my channel is part of the Red 5 network as well, guys, just to let you know. Thank you for today, and I'll be with you again very, very soon. God bless you.